I've always felt psychic and I could talk to my parents about certain things, but there was a lot of other things going on too, and I didn't understand why I felt so different than everybody else and why I didn't fit in. I've always been different, which a lot of us can say, but my dad had abilities. We had experiences when we were kids, and he just we laughed him off. We didn't really cross a line. It was like a certain line. So I've always felt psychic and I could talk to my parents about certain things, but there was a lot of other things going on too when I was a kid, and I didn't understand why I felt so different than everybody else and why I didn't fit in. I was bullied as a child. I didn't fit in. So as I grew older, I felt like I had something important to do. But I didn't fit in a school. I didn't fit in a regular 9-to-5 job. I just couldn't. It exhausted me. To make a very long story short, I was diagnosed with spinocerebellar ataxia in 2003 after my first daughter was born. After that, I had gotten sick and had an opiate addiction. So I just went through one thing after another, trying to just live normal, and I just didn't seem to be able to do it. And then in 2012, I had a little boy, my third child, and a year and a half later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I had a 7x7 tumor in the left breast, already spread to the lymph nodes. So I went through chemo, radiation, and it was pretty serious. And, I knew I was psychic, but I didn't think I was a medium. I didn't understand any of that. I didn't even go after any of that, but I was very interested in the paranormal, very attracted to all of those things. So I had my surgery. I came out of a 12-hour surgery, and I felt different. I was very different. I felt alive and probably more myself than I've ever felt in my entire life. And I knew things were changing. And at that point, that's when my world started to change. I started to see things, hear things. I started to meditate because I needed some sort of relief for the anxiety that I was feeling. When I started to do that, weird things really started happening. I started seeing things, and the very first thing I ever saw was the word surrender with my eyes closed. And it came up, and it went this way, and then it went this way, and it came right in front of me and just sat. And I saw it glowing, surrender, and then it went away. And I opened my eyes, and I'm like, surrender what? Surrender what? Damn it, tell me. But that was the start of everything. And it was shortly after that, after we had a few deaths in our family, and they were sudden, and that really cranked things up. And I started researching, and I started looking, thinking, what is going on with me? What is happening? And what turned up was Channeling Erik. And I was actually somebody's separate blog just talking about their spirit guide Erik. I'm like, oh, what is this? I didn't even know what a spirit guide was. No idea. So I found it, and I was hooked. I was hooked to Erik. I must have watched those YouTube videos over and over and over, and I was like, that's me. I get that. That's how I think. And the pieces started to all come together, and I'm like, oh my God, this is real. This is really happening. And then Erik started to come a little closer to me. And I knew he was around, and at this Christmas about 4 years ago, I got his books, and I had got them for Christmas, and I wasn't even participating with the family. I was just reading this book. And I sat my phone down beside me, and I look, and I'm reading the book, and I can see the cursor moving around on its own. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm thinking in my head, okay, that's got to be Erik. That's got to be him. I know he does this stuff. So Christmas Day, and I said, all right, Erik, I'm saying this in my head. Okay, this is really you, and this is legit, and I am meant to do this. And there's something happening here. Then bring me some freaking angels or something, a choir of angels. It really, really said this. And no word of a lie, that night, my parents lived next door and I was carrying some boxes home Christmas Day and everybody's inside the house but me. And as I'm walking across, all these cars start whipping around our court. I'm like, what's going on? It's 9 o'clock at night, car doors all open. A group of choir angels, okay, came to sing and serenade me because of me having cancer. And they wanted to come and sing. I was like, that's it. Oh, and they sang Hark the Herald Angels Sing. So that was it for me. That was where everything started. And I never looked back. It was just one thing after another until Erik came right into my everyday. And now he's in my life, my entire family's life. It's been crazy. Wow. This has been the best thing that's ever happened. Changed my world. I went from being depressed, feeling alone, different, to knowing it's okay to cry in front of everybody, knowing that wherever you're at is okay. And Erik's taught me how to move forward. And that has helped my entire family. I'm forever grateful. And it wasn't that long after that I started to feel a pull that I knew that I was going to do something with him. And he just kept leading the way. One thing after another would happen, and we started journaling. And Erik said, write everything down, write everything down. So I started writing down everything I heard, everything he showed me, and I do spirit art. I would draw pictures of visions that I would see, and 4 years later, I'm sitting right here, which is what he told me. He's part of my family, and all the people that has come with that. You just can't beat that. And now I have the joy of working with every day and helping people all over the world every day.
So did he teach you how to use your abilities, your psychic abilities, or you went to some mentoring, something like that?
I did. Well, I did everything with Erik. Him and I just guided me through YouTube videos and books. And I kept saying, I need somebody in person. I mean, I had the blog and everything, and I'd met some people on there. I had a reading, and Erik sent a message from somebody that had no idea who I was or anything, sent a very private message to me to tell me to keep doing this, to not second guess it. So I said, okay, Erik, I need somebody in person, somebody close to me, because I was, way up in Canada and nobody, what am I going to do here? I need somebody to help me figure some of this out. So he told me to turn on YouTube. So I watched YouTube, and this video comes up, and it says, this woman was talking about mentoring, and she said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, then I found out that very day that there's a spiritualist church down the road from me, which I had been looking to go to one forever. And here it just happened to be the right time. And the most hilarious part is I walk into this church, and I wanted to go right to the front of the church because I wanted to hear everything. I wanted to be right part of it. And I knew they did podium readings. They had, mediums go up and speak. And I just wanted to be in the environment. And I go up and I sit down at the front, and this woman walks in. Beautiful, beautiful woman, long gray hair, very extra. Okay. She just, my eyes went right to her. And she comes up and she's like, you're sitting in my seat. And I was like, you know, a little intimidated. And she came and sat beside me. She goes, and you're having a spiritual awakening. And I'm like, she handed me her card. Well, I went to her, and we're actually very close now, very good friends. And she's still my mentor, but we're friends. We spend more time mentoring each other, but she taught me how to work through a lot of the things that were happening, how to ground myself properly, and to really understand. She took a lot of what Erik was teaching and helped put it into my life to help me understand that my mediumship is everything that I do. It's not just one part of me. This is in everything I do. So I don't see it separately. I don't see mediumship or what I do as a separate thing. Spirit and the way I live and the way I teach others, I walk that same thing every day. And by no means perfectly, but it's the awareness that's there every day. And that's what's made such a big difference for me. And having that mentorship with her has made a big difference as well. And it wasn't until it was over a year ago, over just kind of a weird circumstances of people, I was asked if I would channel Erik on a video, and just to kind of try something out with another member that was doing something, and I said sure. And so she sent the video to Elisa because he had a message for Elisa in the video. So it was around Mother's Day, so she sent it. And Elisa said, why don't you ask her if she'd like to channel? And so we set up a meeting, and Elisa and I met on Zoom one day, and that was it. Then we just kind of hit it off, and things just started to roll from there. And then before I knew it, I was doing it full time, every day, all day. I love it.
And how does it work with you? Like, do you see with your third eye? Do you hear voices? Would you like to explain that?
So I see with my third eye. I do see auras. I see, like I'll see lights, or I'll see flashes. Like often when I'm doing reading, I might see like sparks and flashes and things like that with my eyes. Most of it comes in the third eye as quick flashes or visions. I feel, so that's my first thing. Like when Erik comes to connect with me for a session, what happens is I feel his energy come in the top of my head. And then when it's go time, we have like he sprays me with a water hose, like sprays me down to clean me off. And then I'm like, okay, let's go. And my heart chakra goes, that means we're ready. Everything's good. And it's so funny because when there's something, like if a client has something off or they miss the appointment or something, my heart chakra, like he's like, nope, just sit back. It's not happening. You know, so we have that connection. But when I'm channeling, and this is changing every day, because as I do it every day, it grows, it changes. And so right now, I've gotten, when I start getting information in, my eyes start shutting down. And so I'm getting into that space where it's changing a little bit, where it's a lot less of me and feels like a lot more of Erik. Erik helps me with people work out patterns in their life. So say they have something going on, he will help show me the patterns of where that came from. And then it's him and I kind of meld together is what it feels like. And then we just start bringing out all of the pieces that maybe somebody doesn't understand that are connected to help make them aware of what's going on, to start making that shift. That's my favorite thing to do. That's what I love to do. I love channeling everyone's loved ones. It's really all combined because the healing is all part of it. But really, I just love seeing people transform their lives.
So what's different about Erik compared to other spirits? I mean, if there is any difference.
Well, Erik, he is not subtle. He can be very annoying sometimes in the most loving ways. He's down to earth, like he's very human-like. Like he gets it. He doesn't stand on a podium. It's not that way. It's very, he, not only for the people I channel for, but for me. He's helps me understand how to view things differently. Like we've had a lot of change in our life. My husband just got diagnosed with kidney cancer. And so having Erik and that closeness has helped guide us through so much. My little boy is autistic, and we didn't know he was autistic, and he was diagnosed last year. And there's been a lot of things that would have been real hard walls in my life before. And because of the way he is, he's able to help me get into kind of, I would say, like the greater view or the back door of what's going on. So I can really understand a situation, which really helps me put things at peace and just deal with what's necessary, helps shut out the drama. So for that, and he's always there. He's always there. I mean, you couldn't have a better best friend, really,
Awesome. In one word, if you had to summarize it, what is it that channeling Erik bring to people?
One word is hard. Peace, freedom. I'd say freedom's a great one. Freedom to be ourselves.
Hello. How are ya? Come on in.
I'm good.
Welcome to our humble little home.
Oh, so this is your
This is my space.
your space where all the magic happens.
This is where all the magic happens.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so this is the fun stuff. So I'll show you this first. When I first started to consciously understand that I was working with spirit, Erik had told me, and not to me directly at this point, Erik told me through a medium. He said, go to the dollar store. Yes, he said, go to the dollar store and pick up a little book. He says, a book that has dates on it. That's really all you need. And he says, every day, keep track of your dreams. Keep track of any messages that you get or anything. So I went to the dollar store, and this is the first one that I bought in 2016. So this is right when I was in remission after having cancer. So I was just starting to get better. And so I flagged the spots that are Erik. So every spot that's on there is where Erik is. And messages from him actually.
You want to put it on the table
Yep,
and go
yep. Oh, I can hardly read my own writing in this one, but this is Erik telling me that I'm not delusional. That the first time that I connected with him and I channeled a message from him to me was on December 30th, 2015. And this was the week that he brought the angels to me in my parents' driveway, all the choir angels. And so these are just little bits and pieces of information that he was giving me about my body and about how to set my intent, some dreams that I had. So this is just a little bit more of that. So as you can see, it's a lot of small little bits of writing. And then here is when I first saw Erik. So it was my little images of what I saw and the guides that introduced themselves. And it was the first time I saw Erik's face with a meditation. And then, let's see, the best one. Oh yeah, here's Erik popping in for a little bit. And let's see. My favorite one is coming up here. So I had a dream one night, and Erik said, write it down, write it down. So in this dream, had a whole bunch of other different things, but Erik told me he was going to show himself in a dream, and I hadn't really seen him very clear yet. And this night I saw Erik, and I saw a great big huge tour bus drive by in my dream, and on the side of the bus it said Erik's Tour of Enlightenment, and then it said live on the side. So it had a great big glowing lights there, and the message was that I would be connecting with Elisa and more mediums at that time. So that was in February of 2016 when that first message came through. And I think there's Yeah, there's the drawing of it. And Erik showed up in that dream. I've talked to Elisa about this, that he showed up in what he called a papa suit. And I talked to Elisa about that much later on, and I had told her that he would come into my dreams wearing papa suits. That's what he would call them. And Elisa told me that that's what Erik, I guess, would dress up in Rune's outfits or in his suits, and he called them papa suits. So that was like a neat little connection. That Erik was always giving me these little bits and pieces. So these are just a lot of channeled messages from Erik. A lot of teaching that he's given me on the way. There's one night he was sitting in my dream, sitting on a couch, and I hear the voice saying, "Erik is waiting for you." So it was like it was month to month to month was continuous growing with Erik. Different messages. He would give me messages through my dreams, and then I would see the answer to the message the next day through Facebook or through somebody else. So it was continuous communication in many different forms. Let's see what else is here. Gosh, there's so much here. It was kind of interesting going through this because I forgot about half of this stuff.
Do you have the messages where he was saying you're going to be in Houston?
Yes. Here it is here. This is how that came through. So he told me that I was leaving for Texas, and he had, we put a little joke here because he said, "Sorry, ma'am, there are no carry-ons and no baggage allowed at your destination. You'll have to leave it all behind." Meaning I was healing. I was healing and I was ready for the next stage of my journey. And so this was to let me know that the trip to Houston was coming.
Okay. Nice.
And this was our spirit contract that we did. This was in 2017.
Yeah.
And Erik said, "All right," he says, "so you want to know what you want to do?" He says, "Write out a contract. Write out a contract with me." So I did. So I wrote out what I want to do. I wrote what I want Spirit to do, what rules I wanted them to follow for me. And I asked for my protection. And I made a deal with Erik right there as my main guide and my bouncer, if necessary, which he has done that ever since. And we dated that February 28th, 2017.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's our spirit contract. So this is for November of this year when he told me things were changing. And at this point, Elisa, I knew that things were coming. And a lot of things that Erik would start to tell me as time would go on, I would know it in my head. So I wasn't writing down quite as much. But Erik would start to tell me, "My mom's going to come to you. We're going to start doing things. Things are going to change." And so it didn't surprise me when Elisa came to me and said, "Okay, we're going to, I'm going to do scalar work. Do you want to come work with Channeling Erik?" And so I was like inside going, "Yay, yay." But also I knew something was coming. And so Erik had sat down with me and told me, "This is what Channeling Erik 2.0 is going to be. This is what we're heading towards." And in one of these books somewhere, it talks about Channeling Erik School as well, because he says that out of all of this, that's one of the biggest things, and I know Elisa and I have talked about this as well, is that we want to help children and people who are empathic, who are sensitive, have a place to learn and grow and understand themselves. Because I know that's something as a child I would have really benefited from, and that's what I feel that I'm here to do, is to help children and help other people understand who they are. And that's what Erik is really here to do too. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.